All right. Hello and welcome to episode 71 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. I'm joined by redshirt senior outfielder of the Rhode Island Rams, Billy Butler. How are you today, Billy?
Doing pretty good, honestly. Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk to you a little bit. Yeah. How was Christmas? Christmas was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah,
Let's go.
it was a lot of fun. It's definitely nice to be home. Definitely you're a senior like myself. So after that, a long first semester, I always thought fall semester was more stressful in terms of like classes and academics. I guess it's different for everyone and depending on the major, but for me, I don't know. It's definitely like a weight lifted off my shoulders, more relieving.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, like I was just talking about how basically I'm done with school at this point. I just got a nice little internship in the spring, do some fundraising stuff, and that's going to be a wrap for my undergrad. So it's
Where
pretty
you
exciting
where you
stuff.
at? Where you interning at?
With Shane Donaldson.
Oh, okay. So go
Yeah.
roadie or
No, so actually, last year I actually did something with Kobe Tippett on the football team, and he basically let us basically do our own thing, like do our own fundraising stuff, our own fundraiser. We ended up raising like 4 or 5 thousand
that's awesome.
for the Tomorrow Fund, just like a couple of football games. So the boosters and like all the fans raised that. So basically, I'm going to be doing the same thing, but just on my own. So we're going to be doing that with the baseball team. It's basically like pledge-based fundraising. We can get into that later. That was like a
Sure,
big
yeah.
part of my life. Like now it is obviously, but junior year I found that after an injury. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Super senior.
Yo,
Finally that time. So
yeah, it must feel rewarding too, being, the veteran on the team, kind of leading some of the younger guys, through the dog days a little bit of, the
yep,
recruiting process, getting used to the system a little bit.
yep. The guys bust my chops a little bit because I'm like the oldest guy, one of the oldest guys now, and it feels a little weird, but it's been a really good time. Just meeting all the freshmen and stuff. Like perspective that like it's cool to joke about is just like some of the freshmen now, they were in eighth grade when I was graduating high school. So and all the other fifth years too. So that's like that was funny to like joke about in the fall when we're playing fall ball. But
Yeah, that's crazy. That is definitely weird to think about. But I guess we'll get into some questions here. A question that I always love to start with, just so that people can kind of get to know the guests that I have on, and all the guests that I've had on the show. It's just what is your motivation or your why?
my why, that's a good question. Um, Honestly, I'm sure a lot of your guests say like their family right away.
Yep.
And obviously that's a huge part of my whole why and my motivation. Definitely my mom, my dad, they've always been there for me. My brother, one of my best friends, like we're together all the time. And then honestly, like whenever it's just an easy source of motivation is just looking around at my teammates, like say when we're at practice or working out. It's just sometimes you forget how much these guys give every day, just to be in the locker room. Like I said, just to play with each other. Just the guys usually motivate me the most. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's always like instances where, especially, I mean, maybe you can relate to this more, where, after a game or after a practice, you may have been stressed out or overworked a little bit, but you kind of just have to step back and just look around and kind of take in the moment and be like, I'm here right now. I'm on scholarship. I'm with all these
Yeah.
guys, my brothers around me, looking around the clubhouse, the locker room, and just thinking, there are people that can't even play at this level or can't even get to where I am, at 21, 22 years old. So, like I said, it must feel a little rewarding sometimes, and that must be sort of motivation for you at least to kind of look around and take it in and just be like, it's not all that bad. We may be under 500 or I may be dealing with some nagging injuries or something like that, but, I'm in the position that I'm in right now in my life. So I feel like that's definitely something physically and mentally that when I talk to a lot of athletes, that's also another reason, for their motivation or their why.
100%, dude. Like that's definitely what's kept me going like the past five
Yeah.
years, despite all like the ups, the downs, and all that. Sometimes you just gotta take a step back and just like realize that we're here. We're 20 some years old. We're living in beach houses. Some of
Yep.
us that are living down the line, like Eastward Look,
Yep.
Point Judith area. Like we live in multi-million-dollar houses, and like our schools are paid for. And like sometimes you just got to think about that for a second, take a nice deep breath and just enjoy the moment. Like last year, the guys, I was injured. I got injured on day one, but
Yeah,
and like we had a bunch of injuries last year, and the younger guys they stepped up, and we were like 0-15 at one point after playing,
right.
Tennessee,
Those
Tennessee,
SEC
Auburn,
schools, down
unbelievable,
south.
like
Yeah,
yeah, crazy competition, and like when we hit that point of like 0-14, 15, it was like, yo guys, like come on, like let's play for each other. Let's just like stop being so negative. Like let's just go out there and play. Like we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to be 0-15, like playing Division I baseball. And then that's when like they turned it around. They went off. Sadly, I wasn't a part of it, but it was really cool to see like the guys just step up. A lot of the younger guys too. Like those are like the most rewarding moments, honestly, when you see those young kids like that come in 18, 17 years old in the fall, say like an Anthony DePino last
right.
year, Eric
Right.
Genther. They come in, they're like, hey, like this college is tough, like fall ball. Like you see them struggle, you see them like be frustrated every day sometimes, like it's baseball. And like to see them have the seasons they did last year was really like rewarding, especially for the older guys. But yeah, it's easy to like get overwhelmed and stuff with our lifestyles and like our demanding like routines that we all have. But it's like I said, it's hard to have a bad day when you actively think about like the situation we're all in. So
For
uh,
sure. For
yeah.
sure. Yeah, and I think to your point, I mean, it's that next man up mentality. You see it at any level, baseball, whether it's collegiate, whether it's in the pros or in the minors. You know, if someone's not performing or, you know, if someone's injured, someone's gonna have to step up to your point, to see some of those underclassmen and those younger guys really, turn on the Jets a little bit when conference play kicked in.
Hmm.
Um, it impacted the team. I feel like it only takes baseball is a team sport, but it only takes one or two leaders or players in the clubhouse to kind of change that. Sometimes it's so easy to get distracted when you go up to the plate and forget. And this is something I talked to Coach Fish a little bit about when he was talking about little ticks and stuff like that when he talks to relievers during mound visits. But even when you're at the plate or you're in the field, and outfield, the infield, doesn't matter. It's so easy to get distracted or, you know, to let someone on the opposing side get under your skin. But if one player is kind of getting the rest of the team into it and motivated and kind of firing them up a little bit, you kind of start to see other players and players around them, or at least in the lineup, get fired up and take better at bats and just play smarter, play better. Because like I said, baseball it's a team sport, but there's a reason why, especially in the major leagues, why other players stand out from one another and they're considered leaders or captains. I'm a Yankee fan, so being from New York, so I see Aaron Judge, what he did last year. There's a reason why, he was just named the captain, obviously performance, but you know, he was firing up his team. If he wasn't consistently performing, the rest of the players in that lineup probably wouldn't have been for performing, you know, at all. And there were days where he would go 0 for 4 or not get a hit or just be, completely checked out. And you would see them, finish with maybe 2 or 3 hits, because
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes that spark or that leader, that captain. So for what you were talking about, to be a veteran now and kind of, see some of the younger guys, you kind of pay it forward, even though you're injured or banged up, you're kind of still giving them guidance off to the sideline and, um, or in the dugout. So it
Yeah, of
definitely would
course.
be rewarding, sort of passing the torch a little bit.
Yeah, it was fun to see, and like Addison Kopach actually too just got named preseason All-American. Like he's a guy who just like grinded, waited for his time, works harder than almost anyone. You're just waiting for his time. Last year he hit 17 jacks, hit like
Yeah.
360, I think 350. So it's really cool to see all the guys that are Addison's a senior now, Genther's a sophomore, DePino's a sophomore, my brother's a junior now, which is crazy.
Hmm.
Just a lot of the younger guys are just really impressive to me, and like a lot of the older guys too are just very like like John Morrison, Rhody, just really hardworking guys. Mark Coley, like persevered through all the like ups and downs. Like I said, just like it's and like what you were talking about, like just Judge and how like he kind of carried his team. I feel
Yeah.
like it's like it goes down to like energy and like how contagious energy is, like how like if he reacted differently to all the fans booing him at home and during playoffs, like he could have overreacted and like caused a bunch of negative energy in the dugout, and it would have just like
You could have gone to San Francisco too, but
exactly he
yeah,
could have, but
yeah,
it's like the energy he brings in and
for
like
sure, for sure.
but yeah, I forgot where I was kind of going with that, but
Yeah, no, it's a tough comparison to make, but to that point, it's just it doesn't matter, what level you're at, whether it's the majors or a collegiate ball, in the Atlantic 10. It doesn't matter. It only takes a couple of players to get the rest of the team, kind of into it, and you need, captains or leaders for that, sense. Even if they're not titled the captain or the leader, or the senior, the veteran, whatever it may be. You need people to stand up, and that's why you hear that next man up mentality. You need that, high class performer. I think Addison Kopak, the name you just named, he was a great example of that last year. Plenty of games that I called for ESPN Plus and for WRU, the radio, and I mean, I can't tell you, what kind of person he was because I personally have not had the opportunity to talk to him, but days where he would go 4 for 5 and hit multi home run games, 2 home runs, against St. Bonaventure and some of these other schools that would come in. It was just so fun to watch. And then you
yep.
start to see some of the other players in the lineup just hitting better after he gets things
Yep.
going. I was on the
Contagious,
call.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
really is.
When I was on the call for Genther, I think hit the inside the park home run.
Yep.
Think that was against St. Joe's, or I don't even remember. But that was just so fun to be a part of, fun to call. I remember like posting that on social media afterward too. But just those little highlights too, they're they're so memorable. Even though the season probably didn't finish the way you guys had anticipated it to. Those little mementos are definitely things that those players are going to remember, and the team's going to remember when reflecting.
100%. And it's cool like looking back, like talking about all these like moments. Like I'm just
Yeah,
thinking of Addison in particular. Like say he would go 5 for 5 with 3 homers, like 10 ribbies or whatever, and he'll see like say like Jack Cuccinata last year
yep,
hit a home run. Addison would be the first guy out like to congratulate him. That's
sure.
some of the stuff like culture wise, Rhody baseball. It's always been there since the start, since I came in 5 years ago. And like I think it goes into it goes hand in hand with like how our leadership is now and the culture we have now. And how basically since I've been here, we've been a pretty good program and like pretty strong, probably within the top half of the A10, I'd say. Like I think all the years of just good vibes, good energy, and just like that blue collar kind of like don't never give up attitude. That I think that's what's caused all this success that we've had in the past years. And I think this year in particular, like you're seeing all those leaders that we had from last year step up for like the guys who were injured and the guys who didn't perform as well. And now we're gonna have like a lot of older guys come back from say injuries and like great leadership, a great like freshman class, a lot of underclassmen that are going to step up even more than they did last year. I just we all think it's going to be a really good year for us. We say that every year, honestly,
Huh.
and we usually do pretty good. But it's like
Sure.
this.
Yeah.
I think this year will be like the big year that we've all been waiting for. I think that we've been waiting for our time for a while, and I think this is going to be the start of like the Rhody baseball takeover. That's what we say. So it's
There you
pretty
go.
it's
There it
exciting.
is right there. I'll
Yeah,
I'll
take
uh
it
I'll
over.
I'll get in contact with you, in May or whenever, and we'll have to like come back full circle and see, if you
100%.
on an individual note or on a team note hit all those goals, then hopefully we can have another conversation like this, and you guys are Atlantic 10 champions or something like that beyond in the tournament or something like that. So that would definitely be cool to see. But sticking on last season and kind of going into a little bit of your background,
Mhm.
You alluded to it before, but I want to ask, how you've been recovering. And I also just want to know, because you finished the year, 1 for 1. You got
Mhm.
injured in that first game. Didn't really see any playing time after all that. But how did that injury, I guess, impact you? I mean, obviously it impacted you physically, but mentally as well, because we hear about, athletes and when they deal with injuries, that can impact, mental health. And that's so important in just athletics in general. So if you could just talk a little bit about your recovery process, I guess if you want to share that injury, what happened on that play,
Yeah,
but
no,
also just
100%.
how you are impacted mentally from that.
Yeah, so definitely physically it was a tough injury to get over, and I'm still recovering and working back to like be ready in the outfield for the season. But the recovery is going great. Basically almost 100% at this point. Didn't affect my hitting whatsoever. Just had to work on the my arm path and stuff. Coach Fitch helped me like so much this year. He really helped me um, just elevate how I took care of my body a little more, honestly, and how aware I am of my shoulder and how important it is to just stay on top of that. But yeah, last year it was tough because I came back um, from the year prior off the shoulder injury, so it was tough. And opening day, hit a homer my first AB. It was really exciting, and it felt in the moment it went by like so fast, and I barely remember it, but um, I was just really excited and happy, and it felt like all the hard work paid off to just take care of my body and get back on the field for my boys. And then that bottom of that first inning, probably like 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later,
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
it's like the first inning, and I lay out for a ball, and I just fall, and my shoulder just pops right out, and I know it. And then I'm down for a sec, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, I just popped my shoulder out again. And the adrenaline must have just kept my shoulder from like just like moving. So I raised my shoulder up. My trainer came out, Taylor Haynes. God bless her. She went through a lot with that. She took care of my shoulder that last season. But yeah, basically came off the field, told the trainer my shoulders popped out. And then I kind of knew like I was done. I thought I was just that was it. And I was really, it definitely affected me mentally. It felt like I was just questioning why did this have to happen? Felt pretty sorry for myself for a little bit because, in like the years prior, it was always injuries and COVID, and I was just waiting my turn. I was very anxious to just get out there and play and prove that, I could play with the best of them. Um, but yeah, now it's what like I think it's 8, 9 months. Yeah, almost like 10 or so months since my surgery, and it's feeling great. But yeah, the boys were there for me. Family, obviously my mom and dad. My mom took care of me every day. Very thankful for her the first like month or so. But yeah, it was definitely a grind to get back, and I was glad that Coach Serrato gave me my scholarship to come back for another year for my super senior year. He believes in me. And that's been just a big part of it too. Just having that support with my coach too. Like my coaches have always believed in me. Um, Even when I would get hurt, they would trust me to get back and do my thing. But yeah, 2021 actually, I hurt my shoulder the week before the season, and then I came back halfway through the year. Coach Serrato just like let me come back. I ended up having a really good season, and it
Yeah.
felt good to be out there, but it was like I didn't have a shoulder. I had to get shoulder
Wow.
surgery, and I kind of just like delayed it, and then I finally came back after like all that. I got shoulder surgery, and then um, now we're here back for the fifth year.
Yeah. I mean,
It
that's
was like,
crazy.
yeah, it was
It's
like a
crazy.
little glimpse last year of like what I could have done in the spring, but it was just it was the baseball gods. They didn't want me to hit 200 home runs last year. So
No
yes,
Aaron Judge, no Aaron
yeah,
Judge
no
situations.
60
Yeah.
home seasons, I guess, but
Yeah, no 62, 63 beyond that. But yeah, I like to say, everything happens, for a reason. And I feel like just from listening to you talk a little bit about that, it almost feels like something like that, I mean, obviously you don't wish that upon anyone, but I feel like, you come back stronger, mentally and physically. And I think something that really stuck out that you said was just your relationship with Coach Dorado. I didn't
Mhm.
know you actually had a shoulder surgery or shoulder injury in 2021 as well.
Yeah.
So just to hear that, like, it just shows me, and I guess it tells fans that um, your relationship with the coaches, to allow you to keep coming back. And
Yep.
your presence on the team obviously must be much needed for Rhode Island to keep coming back and to keep providing, even if it means being off to the side and still being that locker room leader or captain for that matter. So just to hear that, I think, it's remarkable, the recovery that you're making and that you're continuing to make. And I keep, wishing that you keep recovering and keep getting there. But it'll definitely be nice to see you play this year. It's funny because I say to a lot of people who ask, last year was actually the first year I had the chance to cover Rhode Island baseball
Mhm.
from since being at URI since my freshman year. The season was essentially canceled. Um, I believe his sophomore year, it might have been we had already gone home for spring break or something like that. It just didn't align with classes. So last year was the first chance I had to really be around the baseball team. I went to a lot of games, just even as a fan or to broadcast and to kind of get to know the program and how it operates and a lot of the different players that were coming in. I was really looking forward to seeing you play, having known what you did the year prior, statistically and hearing different stories from Mo and everyone else. But um, actually, it's funny just to think about it too. I was in a class last spring with Zach, and it must have been like the week after you guys had just come back from that first road trip. And I
Mhm.
asked him how it went, and obviously, a couple losses there on the road down south. But he was saying like, yeah, man, it's tough. Like Billy was in the hospital, and like I don't know if he's gonna be back. Like he really effed up his shoulder, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if he's coming back the rest of this year. And I was like, and he was like, just before that, he had a home run too. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
man, boy. Like I said, I think everything happens for a reason. So it'll definitely be nice to see you there for that super senior year, and
Yep.
hopefully it could be the best one yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm very excited, but yeah. What else was I gonna say? Dude, I have so many crazy stories like with all that. I wish like if Coach Fish was here, bro, he'd be spewing about like just over the years. But yeah, my sophomore year actually too, it's funny because our opening day was what, February 14th, like Valentine's Day. And this is before COVID was like a thing, right? So
Sure.
we get to Lamar, we're playing Lamar in Texas, and like I get there and I'm really sick. I'm just like feeling like crap. So like I go to like the on-field practice on like the Thursday before the season opener. I'm freezing cold. Like I have to wear like 4 sweatshirts. I'm like my body's achy. Like my coach is like, "You all right, dude? Like you got to go to the hospital or whatever." And I'm like, "Coach, I don't know. Like let me sleep on it, and then I'll wake up tomorrow. And if I'm still feeling like crap, I'll go like to the doctors, right?" So I wake up the next day, I'm feeling even worse. My coach Raph tells our old first base coach, Coach Cap, he brings me to the ER. They test me for all like the flu, strep, whatever. It all comes back negative. So they're just saying, all right, go back to the hotel room. You have a temperature, so like you shouldn't be playing this weekend or you shouldn't play tonight. So I was like, all right, that sucks. Like what am I supposed to do now? So I go back to the hotel room. I have no clue what's wrong with me, not knowing that I probably had COVID now, but couldn't play that whole weekend. Came back Sunday, just in the dugout and like watched us play. Didn't do anything physically for the next couple of days. Wore a mask on the airplane before it was cool, so it was just me in the back of the plane rides, just like alone because nobody wanted to sit next to me because I had a mask on. They didn't know why,
Yeah.
because this is before COVID was just like everyone was masked up. And
Yeah.
then the next week we're at Maryland, and I didn't do anything physically for like at least a week because I was just like pretty down bad. And then first swing I took at Maryland BP, my back like got tweaked. So that whole week after that, I was out. We go to University of Arizona. in a tournament. We go off there. I can't play still. I haven't played a single game yet this season. And then the boys go and play University of Delaware, and I'm home, and I see on Instagram that the Ivy League is like canceling the
Huh.
season. So I'm like, dude, damn, like, am I gonna miss this year? Like, this sucks. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
even played an
crazy.
inning. And then COVID happened, obviously. Missed that year. Didn't have to take my medical redshirt year. And then junior year, fast forward, that's when I hurt my shoulder the week before the season. And
That's
then I came
crazy.
back halfway through that season, hit like crap for like a month because I haven't seen live pitching and I had half a shoulder. And then I ended up hitting pretty good. And then I chose not to get surgery right away, which it is what it is now, but maybe I should have got surgery sooner. But in that next season, it's history.
So you had COVID before COVID even
I
existed, pretty
I
much.
had COVID
Not
before.
confirmed, but
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Essentially, I had COVID before it was like cool. So,
That's funny.
but yeah,
Well, you
it
just
was.
answered my question on that season. I guess to follow that up though, what was when the season was canceled? Just to jump to that season, I guess. So in 2020, when the season was canceled, after 13 games, I believe it was that you guys had. What was the clubhouse energy like? You know, obviously the season was canceled. It must have been depressing, and everyone
It
just
was.
so
Yeah,
upset to be there.
it definitely like depressing was. Yeah, I don't even know if depressing is the word for it. It was just like a disappointment with like anger. It was like an angry sadness. I feel like for all of us, and we were all. So I actually wasn't on the bus to Delaware. So I was at my house. Like they played UDEL, they wiped them, and then they were driving back, and they the season got canceled. So I didn't get to see any of them until we were all at the houses like down the line. So
Yeah,
basically,
it's
in our
crazy.
group chat, they all said, "Hey guys, like before everyone moves out, or whatever, goes home, whatever you do." For COVID reasons, like let's just have one night together before we all go home. It was like the saddest stuff ever,
Like a
dude.
super spreader, kind of. You know.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, yeah, super spreader event.
Yeah,
Look back at it, obviously, but we
yeah,
didn't respect COVID like it was respected after like that whole um that whole COVID stuff happened. So it was just like, all right, let's just see all of our boys one last time
So
because
what?
seniors, this we'll never see them again. Like they're gone.
Yeah,
Like so because a lot of the guys weren't planning on coming back. So that's when we had a lot of questions about like, are these guys getting their eligibility back? Are we gonna
sure, yeah,
be able to get our eligibility back for the younger guys? So it was really sad, and there was a lot of like every year at the end of the year, say we go to the A10 tournament, and like you're saying bye to the seniors, like everyone cries, and it's like a sad moment, but it's like a happy sad. This was
right.
more of like, damn, like this is like a like, damn, what's gonna happen now? Are we gonna be able to play again? Like ever? Like what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
It
So
was,
no one knew anything. I mean, I remember the Rudy Gobert stuff in the NBA. I remember, like we were just talking about before we started
yep.
recording, like going home for spring break my freshman year in 2019, or at that point it was 2020. Um, and it was, I was in that comm class, and I just remember like getting robbed from all those freshman year classes, all the opportunities I had with radio and everything. And I was like, am I even going back to URI? Like, am I ever gonna have the chance to even do this or anything, related to this? And I mean, it's just it's crazy. Thank God the NCAA gave everyone an extra year
Yeah, that would have
of
caused a lot of
eligibility.
problems.
I mean, that was needed, and thank God they
Yeah,
did. I mean,
100%.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that was the scariest part about it, just not knowing.
Sure.
Like knowing that our season was over, that sucked, but like not knowing what was gonna happen, like that was the scariest part, and that's why we were all really bugging out when we were together, like before we all went home. Because it was just like everyone's hugging, crying, like but yeah, but then as the year went on, half of us stayed because some of us couldn't go back to our families and stuff. So we were basically all down the line with no one around.
Did you guys say bomb you, or what was the deal?
Yeah, I mean, like there was literally nothing to do. So I don't even
Yeah,
think there weren't bars open. I don't even think, but I think we just played like video games and stuff like
sure.
for like
Yeah.
weeks straight, and then like we would like hang out. It was just like really boring, and we were all like sad kind of because we were like, dude, what's gonna happen now? But then
Sure.
we found out like everyone gets another year, so it kind of like was a relief knowing that some of these guys weren't getting screwed out of their eligibility and we weren't getting screwed out of our eligibility. But the most like the most like upsetting part about it all was that like our team was so good that year,
Yeah.
and like we just had so many great players that were like bound to have that crazy year to take off. Like, and I think the program would have taken off more, um, which is really sad. And I know like Coach Serrato has talked about that so much too that season, because he said it was just like a different feel and like the culture was really good. But honestly, that team reminds me of like this year's team that we have. So I
Sure.
think
Yeah, that's cool to hear, honestly.
yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit. I have a lot of questions about you at URI, but I want to backtrack. So for those I guess tuning into this that don't know, you're from Foster, Rhode Island, you went to Pontiac High School. I'm just kind of curious, how you ended up at URI. Were there any other offers on the table? Um, did you have your heart set on staying in state, or what led you to come into URI? And then also to follow that up, was there something specifically that you liked about the program, or even some conversations you had with Coach Serrato or the other coaches?
So honestly, that's a funny story too. Like I could
Cool.
just tell
Yeah.
you lots of funny stories, but
Keep going.
so basically, so let's bring it back to high school.
Sure.
My junior year, my first year, junior year, I don't even remember what my GPA was. Like I wasn't a very good student. So my guidance counselor looks at me. She's going through my transcript. And like, Mrs. Metro, like I want to play Division I baseball. Like, what do I need to do? She's like, Billy, like your grades aren't that special. Like you need X amount of grades, like cumulative, to get a scholarship. So I'm like, okay, what do I need? She's like, all A's, like nothing less than like a B, like until you graduate. This is my junior year. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Start taking school very seriously, like took baseball very seriously. Like I was a wrestler in high school too. So that helped me a lot with just like learning how to work hard and just keep my head down because I didn't have any Division I offers. Like
Hmm.
I didn't have any schools looking at me at all until like junior year. And it was like Wheaton, which is a D3. I think like Rick, and like that's really it. And then
Sure.
my family friend at the time, Sam Owens, who was playing at Bryant, and his dad was a head coach for a while. I was just talking to him because we were just very close. And I feel like a lot of people locally knew I had the talent to play Division I, but being from Foster and Pontiac High School is tough because like it's just the middle of nowhere. The competition's not that great, honestly. But
Yeah.
so luckily one day we were playing Barrington High School my junior year. No Division I offers, nothing. Coach Serrato goes to the game and he goes to watch this pitcher on Barrington, like the opposing team. And he just sees me like hitting or whatever, like playing, and he's like, "Who's this kid?" Like finds out that no one really knows me. And then he ended up giving me a scholarship later in June or July of that year. So
That's crazy.
that's all it was, dude. And then I was hitting with Sam Owens one day and I was talking to his dad, just about how I got an offer to URI. And he was like, dude, go to URI. It's the best decision you'll ever make. Like, Serrato's a great guy. He cares about you. He gave you money. Like, it's a no-brainer. And he was like, you want to come to Bryant and pay 60,000 a year? Like, we already have the team filled out. And I was like, dude, you're right. Like, I love Serrato. I love the coaches. I met a couple of the players on my like visit and stuff, and it was amazing. It felt right. And it was like my dream to play Division I baseball. So I was just like kind of like
Yeah.
I was in awe of everything, of myself. I was proud of myself, and I was just like to get that offer from Serrato was like definitely one of the best like moments in my life where I was just like, wow, that hard work paid off. And then it's a whole nother story about like my senior year, just everything changing just with baseball and everything. I think that helped with my confidence, just having the Division I offer and just
Yeah.
knowing that like, damn, these people believe in me. And like I finally am like getting like my like flowers, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that's what like like shot me up and like with my success um on an individual standpoint for like baseball.
So you
But
you
yeah,
were a hidden gem essentially. I mean, no one
yeah.
knew who you were.
I
It's
mean, that's
funny.
what everyone would say to me, and I was just
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm not a hidden gem. I'm right here. Like, tell people about me. And then it was just like, but it was another thing too that my grades weren't that great either. So, and I never played like travel. Like, I never did any showcase stuff.
Really?
Nothing. Never. So it
Wow.
was like, and then so this big like PBR New England. It's like a big baseball recruiting site or whatever. They had my name spelled as Billy with an IE, like Billie Eilish, like how she spelled her name. And like that was my senior year. And I was like, damn, this huge, like all my buddies are getting ranked on PBR New England. And
Yeah.
you look it up and it's like, oh, they have Billy Butler on there, ranked like 27th in the state. And
Did they
they have,
mistaken you for Kansas City Royals, Billy Butler, or
no, they literally ranked me like probably like really low, and they didn't even know who I was. They said I was like 5'11", but I was like 6'1" in high school. It was like it was just really it was pretty disrespectful. Like some of the stuff I would like see about I would see other kids getting ranked in high school. I was like, dude, I'm better
you
than
had you
them.
had a chip on your shoulder, you just
Yeah.
wanted to go out there and just prove them wrong. I mean, I love that story because it's just one of those cases of like you never know who's watching. It's just a normal game against
Yeah.
Barrington and Coach Serrato happens to be there. What if he wasn't there?
Yep.
Like another
If you was sick
situation.
that day, like I might not be at URI. Like I might be anywhere
Exactly.
else. Who knows? But it's like I think I just wanted it bad, like more than just like anyone else. I feel like in that situation. But
Do you remember, your stats from that game? How you hit
like
or anything like that?
I definitely went off. Like it was, but like, dude, Rhode Island Division II baseball, like in high school, it's like
Yeah.
it was just but that's the thing. Everyone plays good. It's just about the people who work hard and I don't know. Serrato saw something in me that must have been a little different than all the other players. So that was the way I saw it, and I was very happy to finally get that opportunity. But then senior year was like a big like time for me because my name started getting out more, and the MLB draft, like that was I thought I was gonna have a chance to get drafted out of high school, so that was exciting for me. And then that was a high in my life. And then that year I went to school instead of like obviously I didn't get drafted, but
Right.
freshman year
So
I had a
did you
terrible year.
enter your name into the draft or
They don't enter, you don't have to enter your name. It's just
oh
like
okay.
they put you on the draft board, but I don't like I asked for a bunch of money, didn't get a call back at the draft. So it was just it was a cool experience, but luckily came to URI, like wouldn't change a single thing in these 5 years, honestly, but freshman year was like um the start of like my new um like life. I feel like because it was just
Yeah.
like a death of my old ego, and just I hit so bad. I was probably one of the worst players on the team my
Yeah,
freshman
I
year.
I, I saw it as 2 for 25, right?
Yes,
Something like
yes.
that.
Like
Yeah.
if I got more at bats, I probably would have broke records for striking out like in the season. Like every at bat, I was going up there like, dude, you're gonna strike out. Don't
I
strike
mean, compared to Division II, high school baseball, it's a significant difference, obviously. So
out.
the Atlantic 10 to Division II Rhode Island high school baseball. So um obviously there's a little bit more pressure on you. You're coming off a great end to your high school career. So it's definitely, something that we see it all the time, when players and just going back to the MLB, some players get traded, they go to a new city, they go to, a new market and the media is a little hard on them or the fans are a little hard on them. It's the same thing in college. I mean, you're just a kid, 18 years old coming in. Like, what are you supposed to do? You only have a couple of opportunities. You want to prove, the coaches that you belong here. You deserve a spot. So I can imagine that being also overwhelming and stressful, probably beating yourself up a little
It was
bit. Like,
tough.
I,
It
I
was
gotta
definitely
be
tough.
there. I gotta be at
But
the top.
I needed it, and I feel like
Sure.
everyone needs that. Every good baseball player has a story like that. Like, oh, I had a season like this that turned me into this. I feel like everyone needs that to be a successful hitter, and like it doesn't matter how good you are. I feel like it helps a lot when you get humbled like that. So even if it's like a span of 20 at bats in a season, like it's kind of that same thing of just like you got to eat crap if you want to be a good hitter, especially in baseball.
Absolutely.
It's tough. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure, the amount of training you go through in the cage, off the tee or anything like that. Um, hours on end. You hear the
Yeah,
stories. I've read so many, like, again, I'm a Yankee fan, so I've read so many like Core Four Jeter books and
yeah,
Posada and Rivera, and just the hours of eating shit and just
yep.
like growing
Just
up. And I think Mariano Rivera, like, just to go back to him for a second, like growing up in Panama, and obviously he was a pitcher, but having to make his first glove out of a milk carton, like I can't even. I played baseball, I
yeah.
wasn't very good, but I
That's
can't
why
even
he.
imagine like playing with a milk carton, on
Yeah,
my left hand. Like, that's ridiculous.
and
But
that's why you're not
yeah,
him. That's why you're not
exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
more
That's why I'm
closer.
doing this and not,
Yeah,
in pinstripes. But yeah,
exactly.
for
No, but
sure.
it's tough, especially when like it's easy as a baseball player to just like say if you're hurt or you're struggling at the plate or whatever it may be, it's very easy to like question yourself and question if it's all like worth it. Like is this worth it? Are these reps like worth it for me struggling and off the say like off the batting machine like those countless hours and then for you to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts because say Reggie Crawford on UConn's pitching and it's 100 to 102, like it happens, and I feel like the best players in baseball and on our team especially, it's just like they know how to mentally just take care of their business and take care of the highs and the lows. I feel like if you know how to handle your lows as well as your highs, I feel like those are the best like mental warriors.
Yeah.
um, we got a couple of those savages on our team too. I feel like that's why I think we're gonna be pretty successful this year.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about your freshman year, you talked about your sophomore year, and obviously that being COVID, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But your junior year in 2021, obviously you talked a little bit, you alluded to the shoulder injury before the start of that season. But just to read off a couple of stats, you led the team with 337 batting average, 584 slugging percentage, and your performance consisted of 30 hits, including 7 doubles and 5 home runs. Obviously a breakout season for you. Can you just share a little bit, what may have been working for you both mentally and physically at the plate, when you go up there, what was going through your head? What was working for you?
Dude, so that is one of the most crazy seasons for me ever. It was very like surreal to me how that season worked out, honestly, because a week before the season, it was my roommate's birthday, and we were just like messing around or whatever. And we were horsing around, and I grabbed his leg or something. Like it was his birthday, we were messing around, and my shoulder just popped out like a week before the season. So that was great. My coaches were very happy with me, as you can like assume. My trainer was pissed. Mook, the goat, he was mad. Basically missed half the season, but luckily, like my coaches, they had faith in me. They trusted me enough to come back and gave me at bats to work back in. Because they knew I wanted to win. I wanted to win like an A10 championship or the regular season championship, whatever I could do to help. Because I felt useless. Just having a hurt shoulder. Um, but yeah, when I actually before I came back, this is where the fundraising stuff came in for me.
Sure.
I was in a COVID like hotel, like the school sent me to a COVID
Yeah.
hotel room, and the season was already started, and or no, actually it didn't start yet. It was like December, and basically I watched this documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called The Social Dilemma. It's basically about how like we're all always on our phones, always on social media or whatever, and we all have these crazy platforms, but nobody uses them like how they should be or whatever. So I was like, dude, I'm so bored in here. What could I do to like make use of like my time? So I thought of this like idea to fundraise for Alzheimer's because my grandmother passed away late earlier that year. So um, and then I couldn't play the whole year. So all my energy was focused on this fundraising like attempt. And basically it went so well. The whole like team, the coaches, our fans, the families, they all like supported me, the team, and the cause very well. We ended up raising over $10,000, $11,000 in like a span
Wow.
of 3 or 4 months. And I think it was literally just the baseball gods knowing like I thought I was done playing baseball. I thought I was done with sports. My shoulder was hurt again, and whatever happened. But I came back, and I basically got to participate in my own fundraiser that I didn't even expect to play
Right.
in the season. So it was something really special, and I ended up like raising a good amount of money, like as well as my teammates, and it was like really cool to see that. And I feel like physically that season I didn't have much going for me, but luckily just like mentally I had a feeling that I was just unstoppable. I feel like because mentally I was like, damn, like I got hurt. I thought I was done playing. Now I have this chance to play again. It was just like it felt really like easy to play the game now that I knew that like on the other side of things is like real life and like I don't know, like you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like
Yeah,
how
yeah. Just to
basically
have the opportunity to pay it forward. I feel like that, from what you're saying, is definitely a motive to some of the success that you had, even on the field, off the field. The work that you were able to accomplish. It portrays on the field to, obviously the stats that I just read off and everything, because it wasn't just you, that was working towards it. You built a community of people to, help support this cause and this organization. You said that, your teammates and the rest of your team, help rally around you as well. So that's really cool, just to kind of have that balance between, accomplish the success on and off the field. I feel like
yeah,
that's
like
perfect.
I felt like that, like the feeling that I had when I was performing very well in the spring with my team as a baseball player, I felt the same like fulfillment from raising that money, like
Sure.
with the team and just having my guys on the team like helping me, and like the amount of times that I went out like to my teammates and the older guys on my team, like shout out Greg Cavalier, Sonny Juliana, Nick Robinson, Vitaly Jangles. Those were all like the captains on our team my junior year. So I went to them before like this was a real thing, and I was like, guys, what if we do this and like we can do this and this, and they helped me with like ideas and stuff. And basically, it was just like validation from them to just like run with this idea that I had. And then as it went on, like the season was just like really successful and fun. And like the whole team bought into it. The families bought into it. And we're gonna do it again this year, which
That's
is gonna be
awesome.
really exciting. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I think like raising that money, it goes to show like the culture that we have as a team, and like the coaches, how they just buy into each other, and like if someone has a good idea or something like that, we all just like help each other and support each other. So I think that's um, something big that I realized, that like that our platforms are huge, and when we use them together, it's like you can make some big like waves. So
Yeah. And that really shows that the team is a family, for
it
everyone to
really
kind of
is.
come
Yep.
around and rally you like that, and what you were looking to accomplish. But I think it's funny that you mentioned that, because, it took being in the COVID hotel to kind of realize, I should probably be doing something. I feel like I can relate to that, because during the pandemic, like I was just saying, my freshman year, when we got sent home after spring break, that summer, I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, am I even going back to URI? I didn't necessarily have COVID at that point, because it was still, early stages, so early on. But I think, a lot of people, I mean, so many people came away with having podcasts like this, because I think people understood and realized like they should be using the platforms that they're given already. They have these platforms that have Instagram pages, Facebook, well, now TikTok, but Twitter, whatever, LinkedIn, anything, Snapchat. I mean, you can do anything on any platform. You just have to actually do it, and actually put in
Exactly.
the work.
Yeah,
But like,
exactly. I was just gonna talk about how.
something like this is like, I probably wouldn't have done something like that. I probably would have just gone back to school and took advantage of the opportunities on campus. But it took a pandemic to realize, like, oh man, like I could take advantage of Zoom. I didn't even know what
Yep.
Zoom was until,
Yep.
COVID hit.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, COVID.
now I use it. So
Yeah. But dude, that's the thing. Shout out to Coach Vance too. Probably one of my favorite coaches of all time. He's at BC now, but he was our pitching coach. But he was someone that we just vibed very, very well, and we were I don't know, we would talk about this stuff, and
Yeah,
the ideas I'd have, and he would just entertain me basically, like just listen to my ideas and stuff. He'd be like, "Yeah, Billy, like good idea." But with this fundraising stuff, he was like, "Billy, this is some stuff that everyone should be doing or could be doing.
sure.
And like you say you want to do it, but like let's actually do it. Like anyone can do this stuff. Like, and it
Yeah,
just goes to show like him putting that like confidence in me, like basically with that idea and stuff and how much he helped me. That just like it opened my eyes to the world of like opportunity and how easy it is to get an opportunity in the world that we live in. And like we go to college, I'm an athlete, like
right. Yeah,
there's not much more you need to like just pull opportunity out of thin air. And I feel like we proved that as a team in a community. And Coach Vance was a huge part of that, honestly. So shout out to him if he watches this. But yeah,
I think also being an athlete in general, like you already have a platform built for you because people are expecting you to, post something. You develop fans, you develop, a community, you develop people relying on you, even when you're not on the field to, you know, put out a statement or produce content or do something. You see so many athletes now vlogging and, gaming and doing different live streams and doing charities. I think one that's so relevant right now, I just kind of circled back to it, but when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, JJ Watt, who just announced his retirement as of yesterday, he raised, I mean, an absurd amount of money for that community. You see
it was
these
like
different
this. It was like
athletes.
that.
Yeah, you see these different athletes now taking advantage of their platforms that are already kind of built for them. But when someone actually, does it and, kind of puts the, idea on in their head onto paper and actually, commits to it, it's so rewarding. It's so cool to see.
Exactly. And I feel like looking back at it now too, I feel like if I was say a freshman or a sophomore and I was seeing me myself like doing this stuff and like raising all this money and bringing all these ideas forward, it would just be I'm glad that I can like set an example for people who might like be interested in like stuff like this and just like expanding like their platform a little bit. I just feel like if I can do it, like literally anyone can do this stuff, you know? And I
Sure. Yeah.
just you're doing a disservice to yourself if you want to do something and you don't, you know? So, because say if COVID didn't hit and you were a senior now in college, you would still love like storytelling and like talking to
Right.
people,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't have this podcast. You'd be like, oh, well, I could have done that. I could have done a podcast. Well, yeah, you could have, but
And I probably, once I graduate, I probably will be like, oh man, I should have done this, that, and, everything else. But
exactly.
you try and squeeze so many different things into 4 years. And it's like, you know,
Yep.
you try and do as much as you can, but you have to take pride in what you are able to do. So
Exactly.
that's remarkable. I want to shift gears a little bit. I have like two or three more questions and then a few rapid fire questions kind of ended off. But I'm not sure if you during the summer, the last couple of summers, if you played summer ball or played for the NECBL or anything like that. If you did, um, you're full of stories. Do you have any stories or, anything about those experiences? I think did you play for the Waves or something like that? I saw.
All right, so last summer I was supposed to play with the Waves.
Gotcha.
My buddy H Bot over there, he's a beast. Um, but obviously I got hurt, so I couldn't play.
Okay.
But the year before that, I went to Newport, played for the Newport Gulls
Okay.
for like a couple weeks. I got a temp there. Played with my teammates Bo Broody and Justin Cherry. Hilarious time. Got to meet a lot of fun guys, funny guys, good baseball players. Um, and then, but yeah, that was a good time. But my most memorable summer was definitely like during COVID, probably. Basically, like we had a summer league in Newport, and it was like four teams of like ragtag like baseball players from around New England that want to play. And we played at Cardines Field, right where the Gulls play. And
Okay.
Coach Fisher and Vance were actually coaches in that league. So
That's
I
awesome.
got to play against them like every other day because we were playing 3 or 4 games a week, and we would just like rotate off of like playing four teams. So it was like I was seeing them all the time, and got to play with some of my teammates and my brother. It was just a really good time. When nothing was going on. Literally nothing was going on.
Yeah.
And we couldn't sit in the dugouts either. We had to sit in the stands. So it was like it was really fun, and it was like a summer to just like have fun again. Like after that whole all the BS and like the like devastation from COVID, like we got to just like have a good time with each other and just like
Got to
um,
rake,
yeah,
with
like
the
I
field
and
and
I went off too that summer. I played very well
yeah.
that summer too because it was just a good time.
How many dingers?
I think I hit like 5 or 6 homers that summer.
All right.
But I played in 2 leagues, so I played in like a men's league, and then like I played in that Newport Collegiate League. But it was really fun, and that like sparked my love for baseball. Like not again, but it was just like, oh wow, like this is the stuff that like we love to do. That like you forget a little bit because it's like we didn't play that whole. For me individually, it was like I didn't play that whole year. Like freshman year, I didn't play much, and then like I hurt my back or whatever, and then COVID. So then it was just a good time to just finally play.
I think that's the beauty of baseball and just sports in general, but baseball specifically is, I mean, it brings together such a sense of community. When people always hate on the sport and it's boring and all this and that. I personally love it. I'm a diehard baseball fan from day one, but I just think like it's so easy to get into any conversation with anyone about baseball, whether it's the major leagues or just if you're playing or anything like that. And I think when you talk about there wasn't much to do that summer. I mean, I was, mapping this out, this podcast or this platform out in my head. That summer, I was looking for, I think, like a job locally because there just wasn't much going on. And most of my plans kind of got wiped. But I think when you just, come together and like you said, just some local players, some people, in the New England area, come together and just play the game that you love. And then, like you said, it piqued your interest. Like it's these unprecedented times where you need something like an escape. I remember there wasn't any sports on. I think the first thing to come back, the very first thing was like, I want to say it was Korean baseball or something.
Yep.
I would stay
KBO.
up till like, yeah, I would
Yep.
stay up sometimes like in quarantine. And again, that's when like, you know, I didn't necessarily have COVID, but the social distancing guidelines were in place and like, you know, all I could do was watch The Last Dance, and we all kind of just had to sit at
Yep.
home and other documentaries, but stay up
Tiger
sometimes.
King.
Like
Tiger King was a good one.
Tiger King, yeah. I mean, like sometimes I would just stay up till like 2, 3 a.m. and just watch like baseball, like Korean baseball. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know any of the players, but like during the off season and like spring training got delayed, and I'm like, man, I didn't realize how much I missed watching this game until like, even though I don't understand anything that's going on, the language that they're
Yep.
speaking, the
It's just an
words
art.
on their uniforms, like I just miss the game. I just miss watching it. And I like, yes, I played growing up, but I can't relate to it. I can't connect to it as well as you can. But just as a fan, like you miss it. In that time we did miss it. So
Yeah, dude, for sure.
crazy.
Yeah, and then my freshman summer, I actually played in New Hampshire, Nashua, New Hampshire, in the Futures League, and I didn't play too well either that summer. But I actually got contacts in July, and I didn't know I needed contacts, and I started playing really well. Like it was
Oh,
pretty funny. But
so you're telling me before that you were going up to the plate and your vision was kind of blurred or
yeah, like I was going up there and I was seeing like fastballs down in the zone, but they were actually like curveballs that were like it was frustrating that like and that might have
that
like
probably fixed a lot. I mean,
yeah, it fixed a lot, but I think it was just more confidence than anything. Like I it helped me like harness the confidence that I needed as to be a good hitter.
I want to look at your stats pre-contacts and then after contacts and just
Yeah.
compare. I feel
Well,
like that's
pre-contacts was freshman year in the
okay.
spring, and then post-contacts is after that. So
Makes sense. There you
yeah,
go. 2 for 25, and then
yeah.
despite the
Well,
injuries,
last year I hit 1,000 with contacts.
fair enough.
So no, but yeah, but in that league, I wasn't very good all year, but there was no extra innings, so it would go to a home run derby. So I was like special teams player of the year. I won like 4 home run derbies like
That's
that
awesome.
that summer. I wouldn't even play some games. They'd be like, "Yo, Bill, like get ready, like we might go into extras," and then I would go take BP like while the game
So
was. and I
Did
would
they
just
kind of look at you as that big body kind of DH, sort of
basically,
guy that
yeah,
would come
yeah.
in and
I hit like 200 on the whole summer, I think, or like 180 by the end of the
but
year.
whenever the home run derbies
But I would
came, they
literally
were
be
like,
hitting balls like 450, like in BP after the games, and it would just be so fun. Like,
so you're a pure power hitter.
yeah, I would say I'm more of a power hitter,
Okay.
than anything, but yeah, dude, I think this spring you're gonna come to games and you're gonna see some of the furthest balls you ever seen hit in your life.
As long as they're not hitting me, they set us up like behind home plate, table, little fence. Like,
Yep.
let me tell you, thank God there's turf because at the beginning of the season, it's extremely windy, and I did a couple of softball games, and that's not turf, and there's not like a protective netting or anything, and I'm sitting there with the headset on, and it is like blinding me, and I'm trying to call like the softball team and everything. I mean, they definitely they need an upgrade in the field, but
Yeah, they do.
um yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to come and see a healthy Billy Butler this spring. Just
Yeah, yeah.
just no foul balls, hitting me. I gotta be able to call all 9 innings. So
Nah, I won't. We won't hit you. But
there
no,
were a few
literally,
that came close though. There were a few. Don Pacone would
I'd
throw
be so
pretty
scared. I'd be so scared.
when Don Pacone would get pretty wild. I mean, sometimes he would miss the strike zone by a margin.
I miss him, but that kid's
I miss
crazy.
him
We're gonna
too.
play him this year. We're gonna play him this year.
He's at St. Joe's, right?
Nope. We're gonna play him this year. It's
Yeah,
gonna be great. I miss him a lot. I love that kid, but he's
yeah,
that's I think he had to do what was best for him.
for
He's just
sure.
doing his thing now. I'm sure he's doing like really well there. He's probably gonna be one of their best pitchers, I bet. But
Yeah, he was great. He was great. I mean, a true ace, if you would call it that.
one of the most fiery people I've ever met in my life. Like
Oh my God, I remember. I
he's
forgot
crazy.
what
Like
game.
he's pure crazy.
I forgot what game it was, but there was one game where it was for ESPN Plus, but the producer was like Don Pagone was pitching. He was a Saturday day pitcher, I think,
Mhm.
or he was a weekend pitcher. But was it Saturday or Sunday? You would know better than me. But
Saturday, I think. Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. So I was doing that game for ESPN Plus. I don't even remember who you guys were playing. It might have been like St. Bonaventure. I know they came in.
I think they won a game against us.
UMass, I think I saw UMass, St. Bonaventure. I forgot who it was, but he was pitching and he did not have a good outing. And he and the producer said, like in my headset, he was like, all right, we're gonna pan over to the dugout where Don Pacone, I think he went to like the bullpen, and I don't even know what
Yep.
he took like a walk or something to the bullpen.
Torture chamber. Yep.
Yeah, he might have like
Yep.
slammed his mitt down and like, and I'm like, all right, we're back from commercial break, and I'm like, well, there you see Don Pacone after not a great fourth inning. Obviously he's gonna look to correct. I'm like, what do I say? Obviously I want to
Yeah.
like be
Yeah. What do they
respectful,
expect you
but
to
like
say, dude? Like,
exactly, yeah. But I mean, it was just funny watching that guy. He was so animated up at
uh,
the
he
bump, and
he he's gonna be missed like a lot this spring for
yeah.
sure. Like just energy wise, like he was a great person to have on the team. He's a guy. He's one of those guys where like you hate to play against him and you just love to have him on your team. So
Man,
I think it's gonna be really fun facing him. I'm sure he'll probably pitch against us too. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. I have two more questions for you, and then kind of just into the rapid fire questions. But to shift gears a little bit, just to recap all of your URI or anything from the last 4 or 5 years. Do you have? I mean, I'm sure you have plenty of stories, but do you have just maybe one or two that stick out? Most memorable moment or story or memory that just stands out so far from your time at URI. I'm sure when we do this again. You'll have some from this past season, but any that kind of stand out?
there's a lot. There's a lot that I probably couldn't say on here, like off the camera. Maybe like we could talk about some stuff, but
Sure.
no, I'm just kidding. But, like I would say probably my freshman year. I don't know. So as a team, I think freshman year on opening day we played Rice, and it was like a beautiful like setup, like so like a bunch of people at the game. It was in Houston, beautiful backdrop, like a nice hospital in left field with lights on it and stuff. It was crazy, and I wasn't playing or whatever. I was watching, but we went into extras. Like we were facing like the like a third over round what, like a second or third overall like pick or something, like a second round pick pitcher, and we ended up beating him in extras, and like it was just one of those the coolest moments of my life because it was like my first plane ride ever going to Houston with the team.
Yeah.
Like I watched my boys like ball out. Like it was so cool. We won the game, and it was just like such a cool moment because I was like, wow, this is like I'm playing Division I baseball. I'm in Texas right now. Like I just took
Just
a
kind of one of those moments where it
it
hits
was
you.
just
You know,
like
you
it
got
was
the
just so
goosebumps, the
cool.
adrenaline
Yeah,
flowing.
it was
Yeah.
just like wow, like I'm really living my dream right now, and like this is all because like I worked really hard in high school and
Yeah.
kept on it and stuff. But I was really happy
What
in
was
that.
your first plate, appearance like as a Rhode Island Ram? Do you remember,
Yeah,
like what it was like going up there for the first
yeah.
time?
So my first plate appearance ever, it was that weekend. It was on like the Sunday, and we were. It was like I think it was like garbage time, and it was just like, all right, Bill, get in there. There was like a man on first and third. Um, the ball was like whizzing in. And I was like, damn, like just get a hit, Bill. Let's go.
Just make contact. Yeah.
Like it was like 1-1. I think like it was like a fastball away, and I swung like as hard as I could probably, and like popped it up to right field, and then it was a sac fly. So it was a
There you
RBI.
go.
It was sick.
That
But
works.
but then like obviously I had the freshman year, like the hellish freshman year where I hit like sub 100 with like 80% strikeout rate. But um, yeah, or like when we played UMass my junior year, that was bad. Like that was one of the most fun weekends of baseball, I would say, because we like I hit like two jacks or like three homers that weekend, and they were like bombs, and we beat UMass by like 15 runs. I think it was so bad. So
Yeah. I always say UMass and UConn are always the two teams that like if we beat them, I'm excited. I'm happy.
yeah,
Like it just feels better. It feels good when you win against one of those New England
100%.
teams. Like I don't know why. It's just when you face another like in-state rival or
Well,
New
like
England
state
team,
school or yeah,
yeah, an Ocean State, rivalry or New England rivalry, it just feels different. It hits different, you know what I mean? So um you guys have that like game against UConn every year.
yep, like a crazy
Yeah.
like nerve like a you know the feeling when you're calling a
Yeah.
game. You're like
So
it's
what's
like
it like going down to Stores for a game like that?
Stores is really nice. They redid it last year, the year before, and it was just like beautiful. It's beautiful, you know.
Sure.
And I think they're like the pioneers for like the Northeast like programs, the baseball programs, and just how a lot of these baseball programs are going to get a lot more money invested in them because there's a lot of good baseball up here, and I think some of these facilities are going to get updated just like theirs.
Right. You see it more down south. You were just kind of alluding to it, with some of the SEC schools you guys played last year. But I think, if we start to see it more in the Northeast, and I think we are progressing that way, we'll definitely see upgrades in some of those facilities. And I mean, even Bill Beck, I think they'll definitely be, if the funding is there for the program and, day of giving and all that kind of stuff. I think, this program, you probably know better than me, but I think this program will definitely continue to gain the fan support and gain the right money, or funding towards upgraded facilities and stuff like that. I already think that the facilities you guys have, just from what I've seen, are pretty cool and pretty incredible. So
Yeah,
definitely
no,
good
that's
resource.
something facilities wise, like we're blessed to have the facilities that we do have, but
Yeah.
you've been hearing a lot of rumors that like a lot of the athletics is they're gonna get some upgrades or something, but I'm not really sure.
It's all
Uh,
right. We'll keep it on the low for now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff because obviously like the baseball team, like Serrato's been successful for every year he's been here almost, like, you know,
Yeah.
so
It's been here for a while too.
yeah, and like football's starting to like turn up the heat too with like their program. Basketball is obviously basketball. They'll always be like
Right. Yeah.
golden child, but like um but yeah, it's exciting to see like the community just like growing, you know, and
Yeah.
just like
That's
5
another.
years from now, what's it gonna look like, you know, like just it's how it should be, you know, we're our state school,
Sure.
and like this should be like the pride and joy of our like state, you know.
Yeah. it's another reason why I love doing this, just kind of learning a little bit more about the program, not even just the athletes or the coaches, but just more about the programs. I had Coach Goldstein on from the softball team, and I didn't really know much about the softball team at all until I had her on early on, probably a couple months back at this point, maybe even a year ago. But her story and just learning a little bit more. She was, I think, a first year head coach, or just I don't even think she was in her first season yet. She had just like got hired, or it was the off season or something, and she was still kind of recruiting, or it was just a couple weeks before the season or something like that. But just kind of learning about the current states of the programs. I think that's another reason why I just love doing this.
Yeah, it
So,
brings into perspective and like how the performance, like we were talking about earlier, just like it makes the performance of these teams and these athletes like more meaningful to you when you hear about like their stories and what they've been through or what like their programs values are or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool, dude.
yeah. So I have one more question, and then we'll end it off with some rapid fire questions, like I said.
Mhm.
But as the team is approaching, this upcoming season this spring, in 2023, what can we expect from, this team, this Rhode Island Rams team, and then also from Billy Butler? What can we expect from him?
From the team, I think so. Like I said, like as a program, we're always hyping ourselves up and we're always expecting the most out of all of us.
Sure.
Um, but I really believe that this year, like our pitching is going to be some of the best like we've seen in 5 years. My 5 years, I've never seen deeper pitching, I don't think, than what we have now. And to return all those studs that we had last year, Addison Kopak, 17 homers, DePino, 16, 17 homers,
Yep.
Ganther, freshman All-American.
Yep.
Like, and there's so many guys that are just like so eager to just get out there. They work so hard every day. And I think like offensively, we'll have one of the best offenses like in the Northeast. So I'm really excited. I think every day we talk about winning an A10 championship. So we got to get to that first, obviously,
Right.
and take care of all of our business for that. But we want to go further than that. We want to go and prove ourselves like in front of the whole world. So we want to go to a regional, super regional. Like we got no ceiling right now. So we're very eager to get out there. We're gonna start up in like what 2 weeks around like 2 weeks, we're going to be going like as a team every day, probably just about just um
So what's
gonna
the
go.
preparation like, I guess from individually and as a team, leading up to opening day?
So individually, like we're all just on our own right now. We're just working
Okay.
out and stuff. But January 14th, I think we're back at school, all of us. And it's a pretty short time to get ready as a team because we start the 15th of January or February.
Sure.
So we get right back. We have live at bats every day almost, as much as we can in the barn. Like we might not be able to get on the field again until we start like the
Hmm.
season. And
Yeah.
that
You're also in Rhode Island too, so the weather is
exactly.
so hit or miss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like usually the outfielders for me, like we'll go with the outfielders inside and just take ground balls with like rubber balls. And then we go out to Houston and you got to play on a real field, and
Right. Yeah.
that's the reality of it. But that's why like we do pretty well with these crazy teams that we play, earlier in the year. Just because we were blue collar and we were like, dude, we were just in the snow like 4 hours ago. Now we're touching down into like Houston or
Now you're in
whatever.
Texas.
But
Yeah.
exactly. So
Crazy.
very exciting. And for me, like I'm very excited to just play. I'm really excited to get out there and just be with my boys. Like, and I just want to really enjoy this year, because I'm like this whole time we've been talking about just like adversity and stuff, managing the highs, the lows. It's just like I want to be able to enjoy this year, and just
Yeah.
have a
So potentially the
healthy.
last one too. So, you
Yeah,
want you
who
want to go
like
out with a bang.
exactly, and it's
Yeah.
like I love this place and I want to represent my school, and my team. I want to be a part of a winning team. That's all of our like mindsets too. Like everyone on our team. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I'm very excited to get the season started. So
as a Rhode Islander yourself, what is it like to, put on the jersey and represent your state, Rhode Island, the state school? What is it like to represent the Ocean State?
It's something that I don't take for granted at all, honestly. I'm very proud. Like even like the other day we did like a photo shoot like with our new
Yeah.
uniforms and stuff, and just being able to like wear the uniforms and being able to like show like the fans and like the alumni that like care about the program and the university itself that they went to, say, like it's just very it's it's easy to understand how much bigger the program is than yourself when you're like, say, wearing like that jersey, and like and you understand how many people like came before you and like were a part of the whole like building of the program. And it's really really cool, honestly, to
Yeah.
be able to wear the uniform. So
I can imagine. That's pretty awesome. Well, I'm gonna end it off here with a few rapid fire questions and yeah, have a little fun and then we'll go from there. But I guess we'll get right into it. I have a few questions here. Your go-to roommate on road trips.
probably, damn, it's supposed to be rapid fire.
You
I
can
would
you can take you can take some
say
time, but
I'll say my brother.
okay.
I'll say my brother, but
Sure. Who's the funniest guy on the team or like the clown on the team? Who's pulling
funniest
off
guy
the
on the
pranks?
team. I don't know. That's a really good question. This is something I want to say too. Like the URI baseball team might have the most characters out of any Division I team ever, like in the history. Like we have too many characters on our team, honestly, to answer that. Like it's unbelievable.
That's
Um,
awesome. Do you have like a I guess I just thought of this one, but do you have like a prank or like a joke or something that I obviously clean enough to be on this, but that you
um,
could say like something on the bus or in a
yeah.
hotel or something? Any
Uh,
stories?
I would say like something that we all do, like is like a lot of the younger guys, like say if they're if like their locker's dirty or you just want to mess with them straight up, we just get their shoes and like we put it above like the little like lockers, and like it's just pretty funny because every year you get to see like someone, say a fifth year, and just like they hide their cleats or something behind like a vent in the locker room, and like you just get to see that year in year out, just like the annual, like not hazing obviously, but you just get
Yeah.
like
Nah, just messing with them.
younger
Messing
guys
with
just
them.
learn like, oh yeah, they probably took my shoes again, like funny stuff
That's
like
awesome.
that, really. But
Yeah, but sometimes that stuff, obviously it bonds the team. Like if you're able to kind of laugh about those things, like especially being a younger guy, like it makes you being uncomfortable early on will make you more comfortable in the end. I'm sure
exactly.
you it probably happened to you as a freshman too, or
Oh
as
my God,
a
yeah,
rookie and stuff like
more than
that.
anyone. Like I got shit on the most probably out
That's
of all the
awesome.
freshmen. But yeah, like we have a kid, Cole Carroll, on our team. Love the kid so much. Like he's from Texas. He's from like Austin, Texas. So we started messing with him like a lot because like obviously he's from Texas, so we're gonna like bust his chops a little bit about his
Yeah,
like the way he carries himself. But like it's amazing, like just to see how like the year goes on and how like the more you mess with kids like on the team, it just builds like the chemistry, and
sure.
like and say at first like this kid Cole would just like be like he'd be like, yo, nice jean shorts, buddy, and then he would like be mad about it at first because he wouldn't understand, like, dude, what do you mean these are my jean shorts, like it's
Sure.
Texas. And
Yeah.
now it's like if we were to bust his chops about it now, he'd be like, yeah, like I love you guys, like I don't know,
Yeah, no.
that's
See,
just an
people
example.
people get more comfortable over time, being
Yeah.
able to kind of deal with some of that and you kind of get to know some of your newer teammates, that way, obviously, building bonds and relationships that way. So that's awesome. That's definitely cool to hear. Moving along here, you could go up against, any pitcher, any level, MLB, all time, Hall of Fame, whatever you want. Who would that be?
I'd probably want to face like Randy Johnson or something,
Okay.
like or like a Roldis Chapman, or just someone who threw so hard, because like that I just
You
think
want to be challenged. Yeah.
yeah, something really crazy, like some Hall of Fame, like I'd say Randy Johnson. That would be
Good
the
one.
person I would want to face,
That's a
just to
good
see
one.
how crazy it is.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome. If you could compare yourself to, any, I'm sure you've gotten this question, any player, again, any level, collegiate level, someone even younger than you, major league, uh, a pro or anything like that. If you can compare yourself to anyone, your game or your style is similar, who would that be?
honestly, I don't know. Maybe like Nick Castellanos. Like,
Okay.
um, that just is the first name that comes to my mind. I think Kobe Lewis said that to me before. Um, but yeah, I can't think of it like anyone else.
I just think of the memes around him with the poor timing and
Yeah,
everything like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, yeah. No, he just hits a homer when like shit hits a fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But no, he's a good athlete. I mean, obviously, the
yeah,
success that he's had, I think he's with the Phillies now, but he started with the Tigers. He played a little bit the Reds. He's bounced around, but he's been definitely experienced, and I kind of see it a little bit. Maybe,
gritty guy, like a gritty guy who hits homers.
yeah.
Like,
What about like a Billy Butler, MLB Billy
oh
Butler?
yeah, how did I forget him, dude? But I've heard from like a couple people that I literally like am just like Billy
Because he
Butler.
he was a DH, he was a power hitter.
He was
So
a DH, like pretty big guy, but yeah,
have you
he's
ever
just
met
like a
him, or have
monster.
you ever
No, but like I would just mess around with people and say like, yeah, I'm Billy Butler's like son, like in summer ball or whatever. Like I
Billy
would be
Butler
like,
Jr.? Yeah,
yeah, Billy Butler the third. So
there you go.
yeah,
There it is. Makes
his
sense.
grandkid.
Makes
Uh,
sense. Toughest pitcher that you've had to face throughout your career?
I would probably say it was yeah, it was Reggie Crawford. He was um he was at UConn for a couple years. He just signed in the first round last year for like 2.8 million. He's like up to 100 or like 102 or whatever. And he hits bombs too. He's like a two-way.
Where's
Yeah.
he at now? Who's he playing
He's
with
like
now?
he's with the Giants. He signed with the Giants. Yeah, he was nasty. He's a lefty. Um I faced him once at our place, once at UConn. He struck me out twice, and I walked against him once, faced him three times total. He
So
was nasty.
he's
Like,
kind of always had your number, kind of thing. Like you just can't read him.
yeah,
Like
like I
no
only
matter
faced him
what he
three
throws, you can't
times,
read
but
him.
he just throws like 100 miles an hour. So it's like it's pretty quick, and his fastball is moving like this much too. So, but yeah, there's so many arms that I could say too. Like during COVID, I got to face Mike King.
Oh wow, no way.
Thomas Cannone, yeah, a couple of round guys, and I was
Yeah,
hitting with Jeremy Pena.
that's
Like,
awesome.
just once, like before using the big leagues, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a lot of guys that I could name. But
King was a Hendrickin guy, right? Yeah,
yep, yep,
awesome. Yeah, I mean, good for him in this. I wish I could have the chance to talk to being a Yankee fan too. I wish I can get the chance to talk to him soon. Or just cross paths with him. I have so many questions for him. I mean, he just seems like such a cool guy, you know?
yeah, dude. Honestly, I'm sure if you were to badger him enough, I'm definitely like sure he would sit
Yeah.
down and talk to you. I feel like he's a very humble guy, and
And even Pena too. That's pretty cool that you had the chance to play with him as
yeah,
well.
just to be around him was
Yeah.
really cool. And he's another person that like I'm not too close with him personally, but just growing up and knowing like the lore behind like Jeremy Pena and Mike King, those are like role models for me and all the other Rhode Island guys, because you're
I
starting to
just
see all these
saw
it's just
yeah, I just saw something. I know Zach does your Instagram stuff, but
Mhm.
I just saw, was it Rocco Baldelli, also the Twins
Yep.
manager? He just came to speak to you guys. What was that like? Was that pretty cool?
So that was really cool. Like, and he's
Yeah,
a very down to earth guy. Like he was straightforward with us. He wasn't sugarcoating anything. Like he told us straight how like a lot of his guys are just very professional and like basically told us all that we're not doing enough as college athletes. Um, he was just like very just himself. You could tell he was being honest, and
yeah.
he gave us some good insights too, and like a lot of like just pointers and how to like move forward with our careers with baseball. It was really cool to hear that and just to know he's a Rhode Island guy too. Like it was really cool. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Two more for you. Favorite Coach Serrato memory or story you got?
oh my God, dude. So I could actually sit here all day and talk about Coach Serrato, but yeah, I would say, all right, so last year, this is such a funny story too. So last year, obviously, we talked about it. I got hurt, had to go to the hospital, right? Missed that weekend. I was on painkillers for my shoulder. Like, Coach C was always like busting my chops, like, Billy, you all right? Like, you okay, buddy? And I'm like, yeah, coach, I'm good. So we're on the bus ride back home, right? From North Carolina or Virginia, wherever we were.
Right.
I'm sleeping on the bus. My arm's in a little sling, right? Like this. And like I'm sleeping. I wake up. We're like kind of like halfway home, I'd say. Like we're in New York City or so. And I feel my shoulders just like popped out a little bit. So I'm like, damn, like I gotta call my trainer. So I call my trainer in the front of the bus. I'm like, hey, shoulders popped out again. So she's like, that's not good, Billy. Like we have to stop right now, go to the ER, get this taken care of, right? So I'm like, do we have to stop right now?
I
Like,
think this was what, sorry to cut you off. I think this is what Zach might have told me about. Like you guys had to pull over or
yes,
something. Yeah, no,
dude,
that's probably what
so
he told me
crazy,
about.
so
Yeah,
crazy. Like I like it won't even sound like a real story. Honestly, it was like a fever dream for me.
sure.
But it was like so we basically pull over to go to the nearest ER. We're in like the Bronx. It's literally like World War Z or like Zombieland or something. I get off the bus. I'm on painkillers also, so I'm like half in the bag. My trainer's with me, Taylor. And then Coach Serrato is like, Jesus, like, what are we doing here? So I'm like, Coach, like, relax. Like, we got to get this taken care of. We go into the ER. We see a couple of people who got stabbed, whatever,
Yeah.
crackheads, right? So we're like, I can't believe this is real life. Like, Coach Serrato's laughing. There's people sleeping in the ER. So they bring me back. It's me, Serrato, my trainer, the whole time. We're like laughing the whole time because it's like these people aren't even real. Like there's people screaming. It was just the craziest experience of my life, honestly. Meanwhile, my whole team is on the bus waiting for like an hour and a half, 2 hours for
Oh
this
my
whole
God.
thing to like settle. So they basically take me back, give me like an x-ray or whatever, just to make sure like whatever. They say nothing's wrong with my shoulder. So we were like, all right, screw this, we're getting out of here. And then basically a bunch of crazy stuff happened. I saw this crazy guy who was like on the table getting an x-ray before me, and he was talking to himself, like messing with his food that he had and like throwing it. And I was like, is this a real place? Like it was crazy, dude. So we leave the hospital or the ER. All this time, 2 hours or hour and a half, nothing. They said nothing was wrong with it. So my coach is like, screw this, we're getting out of here. So we get back on the bus just like that. And I get back on the bus and I'm telling the story to everyone. And it was just like one of the funniest moments like at school because Serrato was like, Bill, like you got to be kidding me. Like you're always hurt. And now we're at the hospital for you because your shoulder popped out. And then we're
Yeah.
seeing all these crackheads.
In the Bronx, like
it was
in New
crazy.
York City, like middle of the night or whatever it was.
It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like 2 a.m. I think it was like
Yeah.
1 or 2 a.m. And like all my buddies on my team on the bus were like,
That's
Bill,
straight out of a movie.
we saw
That's
that guy. Like we saw the like the people who got stabbed walk in. I'm like, what, dude? Like it was
yeah.
crazy. It was just like it wasn't even real. And then I get back on the bus. I'm like, damn, like my shoulder, like I'm done for the year. It was just like it was crazy. It was a crazy time in our lives. So
Yeah. And you're still trying to process everything too. But I
it
mean,
was
that's
it was
like out of a movie. Like
it
I feel
was
like just that entire sequence of events. It's just like
it was like
you
a it
can't
was
you
like
can't draw
a
that
bad
up. Like
comedy. It was a bad comedy movie almost.
yeah. Yeah.
It was hilarious. I'm still in my uniform, I think, too, at the time. Or I don't even know. Like,
That's hilarious. I like the Serato impression, by the way. That's
yeah, it's spot on.
pretty good. Yeah.
No,
uh
but yeah, not. I could talk for a while about Serrato, but the
yeah,
guy's awesome. He's always taking care of me, and he took a chance on me freshman year. Didn't even pan out, but like I said, he trusted me and stuck with me. So
for sure.
history. So
Yeah. One more question to end it off. I don't want to take too much more of your night tonight. But what is your message, I guess, just to the fans, who may be watching this at home? What can they again expect for this season? What is your message to Rhody baseball fans watching this episode or this podcast?
Basically my message to all like the fans and like Rhody Nation basically is just like thanks for supporting um our programs and especially baseball. We're gonna go out there and work hard for you. We're gonna win an A10 championship hopefully. And when we do, we can all celebrate together. But yeah, that's really it.
There you go.
Thanks
There
for
it
the
is right
support.
there. Yeah, of course. Billy, thanks so much for taking the time again to join me tonight. Best of luck this season, and of course, just go Rhody.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
appreciate it.